First of all, we want to learn from you. What is your main interest in being here today? For this, you can grab a sticky note and write within this field. So we just get a little bit of a warm up. And we'll just take 1 minute to write why are we here today and what is the main interest. So learning through the card games is always fun and curious about playing processes and systems learning, and hopefully learn some new skills and tools and introduce you to your work. Sounds interesting. And getting some more inspirations and connecting with systems thinkers. That sounds like the right motivations to be here. And thank you everyone again for joining. I think everyone's here, so I'll pass it on to Joss.
Great, thank you very much, Anya. So good to see everyone here, and good to get this chance to share the cards with you and all the work we've been doing here. So as mentioned, my name is Joss Kochter. Maybe you know of me. I've been working with SI for about 8 years now and developing the content there, teaching systems and complexity and all these ideas we need to learn if we want to actually figure out how to change systems and do innovation on that level. So what we are looking at today is in some ways a kind of synthesized version of all of our content around systems innovation, systems change on the website. So it's quite exciting. It's quite exciting to get it to this synthesized level, this very kind of accessible form, and we've had some great feedback already. So the cards, they look a bit like this, and they were published about 6 weeks ago on our website, and you'll find, in case you haven't found them already, you'll find a link here to those cards. And we actually have 2 decks of cards now. One is called the concept cards, which is for learning all the ideas. And then there's also the strategy cards. So we're not looking at the strategy cards today. We'll have a session in the future looking at those. Today we're looking at concept cards. And concept cards are a way of taking complex topics and decomposing them into simple examples that can be used to illustrate the principles needed to master a topic. The SI cards are a set of about 90 of these cards that will help you to learn or to teach key concepts and methods in systems innovation. And each card is designed to clearly summarize the concept whilst also visualizing it graphically. So this is what a card looks like, in case you haven't seen them. Top level is a very concise definition of that concept. And then the bottom level here is a graphic to illustrate it. And that's that. These come in virtual form. They also come in physical form. We don't have them available on the website in physical form, so you need to print them off yourself. So Anya actually did some great work printing these off for a workshop we ran here in London about 4 weeks ago or so. It looked like this. So that's what they look like in physical form. So you're able to download the PDF from the website and print them off. And you can see on the front, they have the text that describes the concept. And then on the back is that little illustration. So that's that. That's what a card, concept card looks like. And then, as mentioned, there's over 90 of these. So how is it all structured? How does this make sense? So this is the kind of framework we use at SI to structure this body of ideas and methods around systems innovation. Top left is all around systems thinking, complexity, helping us to reframe challenges in a systemic fashion. And then you'll see all the cards there. And those are actually the cards we're going to look at today, the complexity cards. I'll zoom in on that in a minute, but just to show you the bigger picture, that there are additional decks of cards, systems mapping and systems inquiry. That's these ones up here. And then down here, we have the systems change ones. Actually, those are slightly the wrong way around. These ones here are the systems change ones. They should be there. And these are the systems building ones. They should be over there. I'll just quickly move that around. So that's that. So as mentioned, there's over 90, and you're learning about all the different ideas, all the methods, the tools. Maybe you're familiar with some of these. If you're not, then hopefully the cards will help you learn them. We also have guides. All of these cards are actually coming from our guides, which go over all these ideas and methods in slightly more in-depth form. And then we have video courses and so forth. So the content is not necessarily original in this. It's actually just synthesizing up from what we have in the guides already. But it puts it into a new format, and it's a really, really great way for people to learn the ideas quickly, and then to do what we're going to do today, play a game. So I've already had great feedback on that, but this is what we're looking at, right? This first set here, which are all about the key principles, key ideas, and systems thinking and complexity. So you can see there is 20 of them or so. And yes, all those, the top line is all about holism, and holistic thinking. The second line is about emergence and self-organization, going down vertically. The third line down is all around relational thinking and synergies and connectivity. And the fourth line is about adaptation and evolution. And that's that. So those are the concepts that the cards are representing. And we'll see them down here. So this is what we're going to be doing now. We're going to, in a short while, break out into these rooms where we're going to get to play the systems thinking game. I'll show you what that looks like. But these are the cards that you'll find, as mentioned, 20 of them. So that's that. Let's stay going for the moment. We'll have more time for kind of questions and answers and interactivity at the end. And as mentioned, on this link here, you'll be able to jump to the website, and the webpage describes everything there. This then is the game that was created so that people could use those cards to interact and learn together through this game and using the cards. And you'll find the link there to this. It's a short PDF that just explains how to play this game, the game that we'll be playing today. We'll be playing it for a short period. Actually, today's event is just 1 hour long, so we might only get half an hour. We did, as mentioned, play this here for about an hour, and even an hour is quite a short period. They actually got just to do one round of the game. So if you're going to facilitate this, you might want to take an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, something like this. Today, we're just learning and getting that initial experience. So we might just have half an hour. Yeah. So what is this game? It's using those cards, and it's designed to help participants learn the concepts and think about how to apply them. To use them creatively to reframe a given challenge from a systems thinking perspective. So I guess that's the first thing to know. The ones we're using today, this section is all about reframing, helping people think about the challenge in a systemic way, move away from linear thinking to complexity and systems thinking. So it's not the full deck, which is going to help them think about the whole process of doing a systems change initiative. This part is just going to help them think systemically and learn better about systems and complexity. The aim is for participants to learn the ideas, think about how to apply them, but more than this, discuss the ideas with their peers and thus share their perspectives and experience whilst learning from that of others. So that was one of the feedback from this session we did a few weeks ago. It really was an amazing format for co-learning and engagement and facilitation. I've done a lot of facilitating workshops in the past 4 years, and actually this was the most engaged and alive room of people I've seen in a long time. So I was amazed by how this simple game that we're going to see now, and then these cards really activated that. You can see it in the picture there, the energy. Everyone was actually really engaged in that room, in that activity. So I was amazed how it really actually brought every person around the table into it, and they were listening, and it was very active. So I've never designed games or played games before, so it was great to see it actually kind of work in some sense. Yeah. I'm not sure how, virtually it might be a bit differently. We haven't done it before, but you'll get that experience today. So here we are, the setup of the game. So like mentioned, you can do this offline or online, as you saw it there. We had, I think, 25, 30 people, and we broke them out into tables. There were 5 here. Today we're going to do 4 per table. And you can do it, offline like that. You print out the cards, you put the challenge in the center there. You can do it virtually like we're doing it today. And we'll learn what it's like doing it online like this. I think it's pretty similar in some sense, but obviously you don't get that energy, that similar sort of energy in the room, but there we go. So to set up, you would ideally run in person, but could be done online. The duration could be varied anywhere upwards of 1 hour, I would say. You'll need tables with groups of 4 to 5 people per team, each with their own set of cards. So we printed off 5 decks of cards here, and that's that. You may want to print a copy of the challenge you have created. So we're going to look at that now. For the game is played around a challenge. You can see here in the center of the table, like we'll have today, is a challenge for each group. So we did one around introducing circular economy into London. That was the challenge in the center there. And you need to give each group a challenge, as we'll see. So that's that. Yes, each table gets 4 to 5 people. It gets a deck of cards per table, and it gets a challenge in the center there. And then you've done your setup, and this is the facilitation. Well, maybe we just look at that down here, the online version. So this is what each group is going to look like. When you join your room here, there'll be 4 of you. Each of you are going to choose a role, a player, sorry. You're going to jump in here. There'll be 4 of you. You'll put your name in here. So Joss in there, and Jane in there, and so forth. And we have already dealt out the cards. So at the beginning, you would ask people to deal out the cards, and one going round in circles, so everyone gets equal number of cards. And that's kind of the setup. You have your players there. They each have their cards. We have the challenge in the center here. So today's challenge is going to be around, okay, things just disappeared, but I think they'll come back. So the challenge today, using the cards to apply systems thinking ideas towards the challenge of creating and building healthy and well-being, health and well-being in your location, town, or city. So obviously the challenge could be anything. This is about addressing wicked complex challenges. So we talked circular economy in the offline workshop we did. We're taking here health and well-being in cities, creating that. Could be any sort of complex challenge. Obviously it doesn't want to be a simple challenge. Building a bridge or something like this wouldn't really make sense. You need to take a systemic complex challenge, and then it will make sense. Let me see what's happened to our cards. Maybe I'll just refresh my page here. So that's the initial setup. Everyone, tables, people, cards, and challenge. Oh, okay. How does it appear for you, Anya? Do you see the cards? Or
you zoom out.
If I zoom out,
you'll see where they've gone.
Oh, okay. Someone's moved them over here. Great, thank you. So let's put them back again. Okay, this is called improvisation as a facilitator. We're learning about that, right? So back to where we were. We are learning about this. We've got our setup, and we're now jumping into how do we facilitate this. So this is what I did, as you saw in that offline session. I started by taking 2 minutes to introduce. When you go into your breakout rooms, take 1 or 2 minutes to introduce yourself to the other people in the room so that you'll know kind of a little bit your background, where you're coming from, and that's a great bit of interactivity for the participants and helps them inform each other about why they're saying what they're saying. So choose a representative who will share at the end the discussion from the table, and we'll deal the cards equally among the people at the table. So we won't be dealing cards, they're already done. In the offline version, the representative would deal the cards. So when you go into your room, get introduced and choose a representative. When we come back, we want to share our insights from this, so we can hear from everyone a little bit about that discussion, what you're learning, so on and so forth. So that'll be a useful exchange of ideas towards the end. So that's that. You've got the representative, dealt the cards, you've got introduced, and then you take 5 minutes to read your cards. Right. So there's ideas here. You may or may not be familiar with them already, but they're quite big ideas. So you want to take in this version where we have 4 people in a room, there's 5 cards each. So just take 1 minute to look through your cards so that everybody knows what cards they already have before you jump into playing the game. So that's what we're going to do now when we go into our breakout rooms. And then you're going to start playing rounds. Now for the first round, follow the steps below and iterate through these rounds for the next however long you're playing this game. We might have 25 minutes or so, 30 minutes, and you're going round in circles. So this is how you play a round. Stay iterating this process. The next part of it, okay, so this is the round down below here. So for each round, choose one of the cards, learn about the cards, and think about how to apply it. When it comes to your turn, you're going to explain out loud to your fellow teammates, explain why this card is important in this context, and how you would go about applying that card, why you chose that card. So let's go down here, just take an example. We have the challenge in the center there. Player 1 is going to start. So player 1 is going to choose a card. They already know their 5 cards because they've read through them. They've thought a little bit about the challenge. It's player's 1 turn. So they're going to choose 1 card. Let's choose synergies here. We need to think about the synergies in this urban environment to get health, so on and so forth. That's why I chose this card. And this is how I might apply it. This is how it might help us address this challenge. And then have a short discussion amongst your team. What does everyone else think about? How would we go about using that card? Why would it help us? So on and so forth. And then move on to the next player, number 2. They would do the same again. Figure out which card they want to play, why they what is it? Explain that card to the other members, why it would be useful, and how would they go about applying it. Discuss with others and move on. Definitely wouldn't take, try to stick to at least max 5 minutes each. We found, so it does take quite a bit of time. This we found with that offline workshop. People only got to play 1 round or at maximum 2 rounds within 1 hour. So it does take time. Try to stick to about 5 minutes for each person's turn and stay going through it. So we'll probably just get 1 round today, but that should be suffice for you to get the experience. So that's that. Each person should take 5 minutes, discuss the cards, and then move to the next person. Stay iterating through this process, going around tables until the time is up, at which stage your representative will come back to the main room here, and we'll share the insights and takeaways from your conversation, just maybe 2 minutes each breakout room. So there we have it. We're going to go into breakout rooms now. So we've got about 20 people. We'll create about 4 or 5 breakout rooms, and you'll be able to jump into them. When you jump into a room, when you join a room, you'll be able to will automatically assign you to the 4 breakout rooms. You'll join, you'll choose which player you are, put your name in, discuss, get introduced, choose a representative, take 5 minutes then to learn about your cards, and then player 1 will start playing. We'll set a timer for maybe 25 minutes, and at the end of that time, you'll come back after iterating through these. Player 1, player 2, 3, 4. Does that make sense to everyone? Do we have any comments and questions? Myself and Anya will come and join you periodically to see if everything's okay. Anybody needs any further guidance at this stage? Great. So I think we'll just do, should be able to manage with 4 breakout rooms. So let me create those. Okay, so we're off. And you'll see a timer at the top of the board. It should say about 20 minutes. At the end of that time, we'll be back again in the main room. Becca, do you need help find your room?
We tend to look at phase transitions or changes, but at only at local or at the parts level. Then we chose the integrative levels. I'm going to speed up because I don't want to take all the time.
I guess Fernando, maybe it's not so much to go through each of them, just to think about. I know you're actually coming from the Buenos Aires hub, right? And Buenos Aires hub just translated these into Spanish, and you're thinking about using them. Did you get the experience of, how you might go about facilitating this, and what was that like? Yeah,
I think it's very interesting. It helped us. It forces you to think about how to implement it in your own way. There's one thing that I was thinking about. Maybe it happened here that the challenge was about where you live. I mean, your location, town or city, and we were people from London, Argentina, and Denmark, and so it was. We didn't have anything in common that we. So kind of.
Yeah, sorry about that. You should have got you to like choose, one location and so forth. Yeah. Okay.
Overall, it was a very, 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 very nice experience.
Yeah. So I think you raised a few key points. One, from our facilitation of it, was that people wanted more time to discuss the challenge before they got started, or else they didn't feel like they had a shared understanding of it. So maybe we should add that into it. You get introduced and you discuss a little bit the challenge. Obviously, we're just simulating the whole thing here, but I think in more kind of practical application of it, real use, you might want to give them more time to discuss the challenge and get clear about that. And I think you mentioned a couple of things. This is really good for, I'd say 3 things. You mentioned one there. One is for them to learn the ideas, right? You read through the cards, you think about it. 2, as you said, is to actually really think about how you apply that to this challenge, and not just learn the idea, but how is this going to help me? How is this going to be useful for me to frame this challenge? And then the third is that interactivity, discussing how you would use this. So I think those are kind of the key value add for this activity. So number 2.
I could talk for that one. We didn't make a plan of who was going to talk. We talked a little bit that it could be useful where people in the group have different views on the system. So it's a gives you a way to talk about different things that you're seeing in the system, which could be valuable. But then we started talking about sort of power imbalances in those conversations, because our particular aspect of we talked about, housing crisis and so on. So then we started talking about how some people, with all the money have a different view of that system than others, and they might not. Don't know. We have to think beyond just the concepts to how you overcome those imbalances to have a useful conversation.
Yeah, but it's a good point. You can see how these are big ideas and they're big challenges. So it's going to lead to big conversations. So I mentioned it before about time in the real setting of this. If you really want them to create something in that, you do want to give them plenty of time and maybe some good coaching too, so they kind of stay on track, but they get that experience. Anything else you want to share overall? How was the experience? Did you learn about how this is all working? Or
I think we found it interesting to be looking at the different concepts and how they led on from each other. Like, the concepts the four of us picked were obviously different, but we could see how they sort of were related to each other to draw the ideas a bit further along each time. So that was useful.
Great. Group 3. Thanks.
We didn't pick a representative, but I guess I can jump in, and then my team can also let me know if I missed anything. So I was with Shirapam and Christine, and we chose our different cards and had a discussion around how they were all related. So that's why we connected them through a circle. And it was a very good discussion around those. And how might we was really trying to find the commonalities and discussing around the commonalities of all of our cards, and thinking about communications and building communities, tensions, finding common values, and also realizing that there is always a relationship between everything. And it's about building awareness. What is the state of a relationship? And how can you actually create a relationship or change a relationship? So we were building relationships around these cards and around the challenge. So
you're in a systems thinking workshop. There's always relationships between everything, right? There we go. So here we are, number 4. Do you want to share briefly?
Hi, we were number 4. We didn't agree on who wanted to speak, so I'm just wondering if Tamsin or Ekin want to speak. Nope. Okay, good. So we looked at the challenge and we started out looking at reflexivity, and basically utilizing reflexivity to actually find a common ground, so around our challenge area. And then we played the game and we had a little bit of an initial understanding of, okay, how are we going to do this? Do we really understand the complexity of each of these ideas? But once you're into them, you actually choose often the one that you feel an affinity with. So then as you went around, we actually had a look at integrative levels, which we utilized as a way or a method of zooming in and zooming out of levels, which really allows people to come in with different perspectives, whether it's the individual themselves, or maybe a hospital, or maybe a city, or maybe even it could be a focus on the lung system, so that we can understand when we're zooming in and zooming out, and we use the language of zooming in and zooming out to allow people to apply integrative levels for their specific aspect. And there is the point also made that you can waste a lot of time trying to find common ground, common definitions, etc. But instead of doing that necessarily, is that you can simply choose a common issue or a common solution or a common challenge and work around that with all of the complexity of the ways that people bring their different perspectives. Often coming to the expectation that your city is different from my city. Even my Amsterdam is different from other people's Amsterdam. My house is different from others.
Sorry, we're running out of time here. Sure. So great, thank you for that. So I think you got to a good point. Yeah, I think you got to a good point there about everyone kind of choosing the card that resonates with them. And that's the thing of everyone bringing in their another part of this is everyone being able to bring in their perspective, their ideas, their experience, and so forth. So that's another important part of it, I think, as mentioned. A little bit out of time. I know it was a bit of a whirlwind kind of tool, but I think it's not so bad because we were trying to learn about the structure of the game, the facilitation, and so forth. I find when we go too much into it, we kind of forget about that. We get caught up in the ideas and so forth. So hopefully you got that experience from this, and you have an idea of what the cards are. You would hopefully have an initial idea of how to facilitate a game around this, and of the key points, right, around the interactivity. People are saying the option to choose cards is part of what really kind of turns it into a game, where you're able to make choices, right, around this challenge. So it's, I think a good game has choices, has options, but not too many options, right? It's constraining and both enabling. So feel that it kind of goes well there, and you've got a limited number of options, just 5 cards each. So feel there's some really good features to it already. Obviously, first iteration, so things will develop in the future. You're welcome to drop off. Thank you all for joining. Hopefully you got what you're coming for today, and would love some feedback if you'd like to share that, if this was of help and so forth. I'm going to stay on the line just for another 10 minutes. Maybe some of you have questions you might like to discuss. I'll stop recording now, and you're welcome to drop off. Hope to see you at a future event if you need to leave, but you're welcome to stay and have a little conversation if you want to.